Hey everyone, I wasn't going to do this right now, but a viewer via Twitter asked me to comment on Mark Davis' overtures toward Las Vegas with respect to a new stadium. Very simply, the Oakland Raiders' current owner is being very reckless in his actions, and he has been for some time. And let me explain step by step where he has been reckless. First of all, let's take the revelation that the URL LasVegasRaiders.com was created and bought by him as far back as 1998. The NFL Constitution specifically states that club marks, and if I'm not mistaken, a URL counts as a club mark, cannot be established without league approval. There is no evidence that Mark Davis established LasVegasRaiders.com with NFL approval. He did this on his own by his own admission. And now he's advancing it forward and combining that with an expression of a desire to have the Raiders in Las Vegas. He's doing all of this without NFL approval. There is no evidence the NFL has approved officially his actions. It's quite different for Commissioner Goodell to verbally give a blessing, as someone called it, to Mark Davis talking to Las Vegas. That's consistent with the franchise relocation rules that are in the NFL Constitution. They, in turn, are consistent with antitrust case law as it has advanced to this stage and was set and a new precedent established by the same Oakland Raiders in 1982 with respect to leaving Oakland for Los Angeles, when the NFL tried to block the Raiders and was found to be in violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. Okay? So now the commissioner is stuck there where he can't act like he's specifically binding as Commissioner Pete Rozelle tried to do with respect to Al Davis, the Raiders currently. Roger Goodell has to follow the Antitrust Act. So he can't act like he's openly blocking Mark Davis, even if he wants to. He has to design a path that leads Mark Davis to deal with the NFL and the owners. But he has to design it also in such a way that the owners back the commissioner's decision, because the franchise relocation rules are written in such a way that the commissioner has final say in interpretation with the consultation, of the finance committee of the National Football League. That's right there in the NFL rules. All right? So that's the first problem that Mr. Davis opens up for himself. Then there's the matter of gambling. That's the 9 million pound gorilla. Not 900, 9 million. Okay? Well, let's put 2 zeros behind it. 900 million. 9 billion? Fine. But I digress. I say that for this reason. Let me give you a scenario. First of all, it is known that the National Football League is in partnership with at least one big data company regarding the sale of data to sports betting organizations, including fantasy sites. Now, let's say that the Raiders do go through all of a number of steps and wind up building a stadium in Las Vegas. Let's say that there are a couple of gambling tech interests that want to build a kind of real-time data collection system of their own within the stadium, but in such a way that it's not known by the National Football League. Why? Because then it could collect data, not just from the Raiders during their performance, but from any visiting team, and establish a betting system whereby you could bet the likelihood of, say, the Raiders running back gaining a first down on a 3rd down and 5 against, say, the Dallas Cowboys in a game at the Raiders Stadium in Las Vegas as it happens. So in other words, each time the play is ran, it tallies up these gains versus your bet, and you get immediate payoff. Okay? Now, let's take that scenario and add this to it. Let's say that a bookie or some character decides that he is going to fix that by saying to Raiders ex running back, hey, fall down, pretend like you're injured, because then that'll bring in another running back who's better able to gain these yards, and they'll basically bet on that running back, okay? And we'll collect that difference. So you fall down, but then the gains that we make, we will pay you a percentage of that. That's called a fix, folks. By being in Las Vegas, Mark Davis invites that. Now you would say, how come that's not done right now? I will tell you why. First of all, the simple fact that on television there's a 7-second delay eliminates the immediacy of the data transfer. Okay, you have a 7-second delay. If you're watching television recording, that's a 7-second delay right there, and that means that if I have that 7-second delay and someone else is at the stadium, they have an advantage over me in terms of recording that data faster than I do and acting on its outcome faster than I can from a betting perspective. So, but installing real-time collection data at the stadium gets around the television area problem. But the only way you can do that is if you're in a part of the country where there are interests that would design that, and a bureaucracy, a private bureaucracy that would encourage that. That's Las Vegas. That's Las Vegas. That's Las Vegas. So, and that's the kind of scenario that a number of people in the league are afraid of. Because the Raiders will be sitting right there, having their football team at play in a stadium that would not be owned entirely by them, but by the state, with Sheldon Adelson, who is a gambling casino magnate, okay? Thereby opening up all of these possibilities for data collection such that they fall outside the view of the National Football League. And how would the National Football League know how to police the entire stadium if they're not directly involved at every step in not only just construction, but inspection, and even at the inspection level? Because they're working with people who know the stadium better than the league, those people could redirect the NFL in such a way that they may not ever discover what I'm talking about until it's too late. Maybe years down the path. That's the scenario that's invented. The only way to prevent that is for the NFL to be a full partner of construction of the stadium in Las Vegas. That's the only way. I mean a full partner. It knows everything. Everything. And would have to continue monitoring well after stadium construction. It'd be a whole new bureaucracy for them. That's the scenario that Mark Davis opens up. So, I haven't begun. Here's the other problem. Those are the first two. The other problem is simply that the league's own rules make it very difficult to force a team to act in 100% good faith because they're contradictory. On one hand, the franchise relocation rules say that the team must exhaust its efforts to build a stadium in the home territory. But how can that happen when you have the team owner, in this case Mark Davis, openly and cavalierly setting up meetings with Las Vegas at the same time that he's supposed to be working with Oakland to build a stadium. So he sends the message to Oakland, hey, first of all, we're not really interested in dealing with you, but we're going to deal with you because we're going to make it look like it. Take Larry McNeil. The Raiders announced they hired Larry McNeil in February of this year, but they didn't tell anybody that Larry McNeil didn't come on board until April. So there was this huge delay tactic. Look at what Mark Davis did during that time. He did what? He worked relationships in Las Vegas. He did nothing in Oakland. Nothing. You want to tell me that's not a cause of action for a potential lawsuit by the city of Oakland or some party like the city of Oakland, the county of Alameda, or the East Bay entities, which would have the most greatest right to do so? His actions have been completely reckless. Completely. And then add to that, his actions have been so public, it wouldn't surprise me that a senator or congressperson is considering the drafting of such legislation to stop him in his tracks before he gets any further, if not the entire NFL. So Mark Davis is playing with fire, and he has no idea how hot this match is going to get.